KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making headlines this hour, new details on a shooting in Austin that left a protester dead over the weekend.
As coronavirus cases continue to swell and as complicated negotiations over a new stimulus bill are set to start, find out why there is renewed hope today in the fight against COVID-19. I'm Karina Mitchell in New York with that story coming up.
Taking a look outside with live cam. It's 78 degrees. It looks very muggy out there, and you may have woken up to some rain on your driveway this morning.
And good morning to you. It is Monday. It is July 27th, and it was a weird weather weekend around here because of Hannah. We were on the weird side of the storm. We had sun, we had clouds, we had a sprinkle, we had downpours.
You couldn't really plan your day like, oh, do I want to stay in all day and watch movie, but then it'd be like sunny outside.
And then Saturday night, completely clear as a bell, and then hours later, just torrential downpours in parts of San Antonio.
Make up your mind.
I know, Mother Nature, what the heck? We're to the point. Hannah, let's bring in Mike and talk about your experiences this weekend.
That was the problem with it because, you know, the path kept moving on further on down to the south where the heaviest rain was and some of the damage from that. And then we just kept getting those bands that would slide on through here. And some places around, even around Bexar County, picked up inch and a half of rain. Officially in the record books, 9/100ths of an inch of rain at the airport. That's it. I got some pretty good rain in my backyard. A lot of folks did too. We still have a couple of leftover sprinkles from that though, and that's why you may run into a shower or two as you head out this morning. And yeah, it is definitely humid out there. So there's not really even the heart of Hannah, but closer to the center of it, and continues to work its way off into northern Mexico. And then those few kind of wraparound showers just on the backside of it a little bit. We've had a couple of them in portions of the hill country, maybe one or two in town. So don't be surprised if you do see a shower around here this morning. 78 degrees, 77 Valverde. Normal low temperature 75 right now, so kind of in the ballpark. And the humidity, thanks to the moisture in the ground and just the humidity in the air, it's definitely up there. This is some of the more widespread higher humidity that we've had so far this season, and it is going to be warm and humid today. Most mold is on the high side, I should say. We're going to keep a lot of clouds around today. 87 at noon, 93 high temperature, maybe a couple of showers. One or two of them here and there. Same thing next couple of days. Then it's going to be heating up as we finish out the month of July. Details in just a couple of minutes. Time saver traffic right now. Here's the very latest on this Monday morning. Officer Marcus Trujillo. How you doing?
Not too bad. How you doing this morning, Mark? Mike?
Thank you, sir.
Right now, as we take a look at the roadways, no accidents, and we're taking a look at TransGuide. TransGuide has some pretty good shots. Now, in some areas, you may actually see a little bit heavier traffic than we normally see along I-10 and 35. Right now, 604 Culebra, so far, no issues there. I-10, 1604, the interchange still looking great out there. And there's a 1604 Culebra, the entrance ramp to Highway 151 to head back in towards town. There's Highway 90 at 36. You see some flashing lights here off to the side there on the access road, but the eastbound and westbound lanes of Highway 90, so far, no issues this morning. Mark?
New this morning, San Antonio police are investigating a drive-by shooting on the city's north side. It happened around 9:30 last night on Alameda Street, just east of I-10. SAPD says 3 suspects in a black Chevy Avalanche passed by a home and fired multiple shots, targeting a victim. No one was hurt, but some property was damaged. Police have not identified suspects. Police said there was another drive-by earlier the day, the same location. SAPD says it was likely another attempt by suspects to target the victim.
Well, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in Bexar County. Another 393 positive tests sends our total above 36,000 cases. One more person has died. Our death toll now at 323 people. A little bit of good news, though. There's now been 7 consecutive days where there has been a decline in hospitalizations. Right now, 1,044 patients are hospitalized locally with COVID-19. 418 are in the ICU and 287 people are on ventilators. An estimated 21,505 people have recovered.
Coronavirus infections continue to surge globally with more than 16 million people now infected. That as Americans face economic uncertainty, desperately looking to Washington for federal relief.
Meanwhile, hope may be on the horizon as a race for a vaccine takes a giant leap. Karina Mitchell is in New York with the latest.
This morning, Congress poised to take action as millions of Americans are on the verge of losing that $600 a week federal unemployment benefit. Republicans proposing a pared-back package with laid-off workers getting up to 70% of their former wages.
It won't stop the assistance. It's going to cap the assistance at a level that is consistent with people going back to work.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi admonishing the GOP, calling them out of touch and blaming them for the ongoing crisis.
And that delay is causing suffering for America's families. So we have been ready for 2 months and 10 days.
That as several states report out of control coronavirus numbers. California now the worst hit in the country. Florida with more than 400,000 cases now surpassing New York to become the second most infected state and recording an alarming spike in infections among children. 9-year-old Kimora Lynham, the state's youngest COVID victim.
She was resilient and strong, and she could put a smile on your face just by looking at her.
But while hospitalizations surge in the state, officials looking for a way to extend the lifeline to bars and restaurants by keeping them open. Top health officials delivering a stark warning.
If they open up bars now, they're basically saying goodbye to schools for all of the fall.
15 states reporting problems with testing, some waiting up to 19 days for results. But today, a step in the right direction. Thousands of patients nationwide showing up for the country's first large-scale vaccine trial. Moderna is heading into phase 3 of their vaccine trials, taking 30,000 volunteers and injecting them with what could be the first immunization against coronavirus. Meanwhile, Kentucky today bracing for new restrictions as at least 30 children under the age of 5 have died from the virus, and Indiana beginning a new statewide mask mandate. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
The American Consulate in the Chinese city of Chengdu is officially shutting down. The American flag outside the building lowered at dawn today as U.S. diplomats prepared to leave the complex. Afterward, they tweeted a farewell message to the consulate saying, "We will miss you forever." China ordered the U.S. to close the site last week after Washington made a similar move, forcing a Chinese consulate in Houston to cease operations. Both sides have accused each other of endangering national security.
Well, the body of civil rights legend and Congressman John Lewis will lie in state in the U.S. Capitol beginning this afternoon. That's after a weekend of events celebrating his life and legacy. More than 5 decades after he led a march on behalf of Martin Luther King Jr. across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, Lewis made one last crossing on Sunday. It was an emotional ceremony that symbolized the 80-year-old's lifelong work with civil rights. Hundreds of mourners watched the procession as Lewis' casket was carried across the bridge. Lewis almost died as a 25-year-old on March 7, 1965, when Alabama state troopers attacked him and other civil rights demonstrators in an incident that became known as Bloody Sunday.
Police in Austin have identified an armed protester shot and killed by a person who had driven into a crowd during a demonstration against police violence this weekend. Officers at the protest say they heard several shots and later found 28-year-old Garrett Foster with multiple gunshot wounds. Foster was taken to a hospital where he later died. The vigil was held for him last night. A vigil. Leading up to this, police say a vehicle had turned onto a block where protesters stood and honked its horn. The driver told police that Foster approached the driver's side window of the vehicle and pointed an assault rifle. That's when the driver shot him and drove off. The driver called 911 and reported the incident. He was taken into custody and later was released. 438, 78 degrees.
Still ahead on GMSA, tens of thousands have volunteered for a coronavirus vaccine as trials get underway at locations across 30 states.
And next, the Spurs looking ahead to their next scrimmage after falling the last 2 games against the Bucks and the Nets.
But first, let's take a look outside with live cam. 78 degrees. Will this trend of on and off, and who knows if they're actually coming, scattered showers continue this week? Mike will let us know when we come back.
Let's talk basketball. Our Spurs have one more scrimmage left before they restart the 2019-2020 season on Friday. They'll face the Pacers tomorrow at 3 before picking up the regular season Friday against the Sacramento Kings at 7 o'clock. So far, the Spurs have yet to win a scrimmage. They fell to the Bucks 113-92 on Thursday and were outscored by the Brooklyn Nets 124-119 on Saturday in Orlando. The game was tied at the half 57-all, thanks in part to Derek White, who led the Spurs with 22 points. Biggest difference, turnovers. Spurs committed 24. That resulted in 26 points for the Nets, 4 of those by White. And the third quarter, the Spurs were outscored 39-31. For the second straight game, Spurs decided to start Lonnie Walker with White and DeJounte Murray in the backcourt, searching for that defensive surge. Here's a look at the Spurs schedule this week. Again, the scrimmage, last one is tomorrow, 3 o'clock versus Indiana. Then the regular season starts Friday against Sacramento at 7 o'clock. Then Sunday, the Spurs play the Memphis Grizzlies at 3 p.m. All those games on Fox Sports Southwest.
Cannot wait.
I'm ready.
All right, it is 4:42 and 78 degrees.
Coming up next on GMSA, a first look at coronavirus vaccine trials that are starting at various locations across the United States.
Well, there is new vaccine hope this morning as tens of thousands have volunteered for trials right here in the U.S. Moderna's phase 3 trials are getting underway at locations across 30 states and Washington, D.C. ABC's Victor Oquendo has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, race to a vaccine, a major milestone in the battle against COVID-19. For the first time in the U.S., Phase 3 vaccine trials are now getting underway. 30,000 Americans are expected to volunteer for Moderna vaccine clinical trials, hoping the vaccine will be the answer to defeating the coronavirus, which has now infected more than 16 million people worldwide.
I think it's very important that a person steps up and tries to do something good for the world at this point.
73-year-old Jeffrey Balkin is in good health and says he's not nervous at all about the risks.
To me, it's obvious that a vaccine is the holy grail.
And coming up at 7 a.m., George Stephanopoulos goes one-on-one with Moderna's co-founder and chairman. With your GMA First Look, I'm Victor Oquendo, ABC News, Miami.
Right now it's about 4:46.
All right, let's check in with time saver traffic with Officer Marcus Trujillo.
Well, thank you, sir. And as we take a look at the roadway, still no accidents. Let's move over to some additional TransGuide cameras. Highway 90 at 36th Street still looking great with no problems here. 35 at Salado. You can see north and southbound lanes have more than enough room. All the way through 35 there at 410. Moving up to 35 604 so far. No issues there. And stalled vehicle there on the westbound lanes of 410. Over there 410 just after Fredericksburg Road. That's going to be in between Fredericksburg and Babcock. So just watch out for that. So if you're headed into the downtown area, well, there's I-10 and Frio. Inbound, outbound lanes still looking great right now, but earlier this morning was a little bit more traffic than usual, both on 35 and on I-10.
And you were saying earlier, Marcus, wet pavement kind of here or there?
Could be. So just, both hands on the wheel, put away those distractions just in case.
To be clear, we're still dealing with little remnants of Hannah, right?
Yeah, way on the backside of it. Just, kind of the wraparound. It's still pulling in some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. So we may have a couple of showers around today, tomorrow. But get ready because things are going to be heating up again. And we've got plenty of humidity out there as well. So there's our morning cloud cover, and a couple of little showers are showing up. 78 degrees right now in town, 73 Bernie Stage, mid-70s Hill Country. And again, the dew point temperatures, the measure of moisture in the atmosphere, overall seem to be higher than some of the highest readings that we've had. I mean, we've got a lot of 76s on the map right now, 74 in town. And again, it's window dripping kind of humidity. And not only is it in the atmosphere, but of course the moisture in the ground is helping that out. And heat index readings right now feels like 88 in Beeville and 93 right now in Corpus Christi. And temperatures later today, we're going to be getting up into the low 90s. So some of the moisture is going to help to hold temperatures down a little bit. We will have some clouds around here, normal high being 96 degrees. Right now, but of course it's going to feel much hotter than that because of all the humidity. So we will have those, it's going to be pretty steamy out there today. A couple of those showers are showing up. I mean, you almost have to squint to kind of see anything. A few of them, this is all just some clutter around the radar site, moving off into the hill country and sort of disappeared. But don't be surprised if you see one or two of them out there. A couple more down here to the south, and those are all kind of moving off to the northwest. And just think about it, because way down in northern Mexico, there's the big counterclockwise rotation, so that's why these are working their way up to the northwest. And as far as the rest of today, Even this computer model isn't overly bullish as far as any rain. We'll just have a couple of scattered showers, obviously more down to the southwest, closer to the leftovers of Hannah. It's just a tropical depression as of right now, technically over the northern mountains of Mexico. And then tomorrow we'll have about the same situation as far as maybe a couple of showers, and that's pretty much going to be about it. We will keep some clouds around here, though. It looks like throughout most of the week we'll have some sunshine thrown in. But despite that, we are definitely going to be heating up. So here's another look. There's Hannah as it continues to sort of get just ripped apart by the mountains of Mexico right there. But obviously it is pulling in a lot more moisture around here, more moisture. And so that's what's helping with some of these showers. So just one or two of them kind of scattered about the area today. 87 degrees at noon and high temperature today. We're going to have sort of a mixture of sunshine and clouds. 93, but again, it's going to feel a whole heck of a lot hotter than that. Roughly the same thing tomorrow. A couple of showers, then we start to warm up a little bit. And again, we'll make it back up to a normal high temperature, basically Wednesday, Thursday, and then heat up. And I think we're going to be looking at triple digits to start off the month of August.
Boo.
That makes sense, though. Move Hannah out, heat things back up, say welcome to August. Here we are. You
know, it's funny because we will have a fair amount of clouds around late in the week, but that's not going to really keep temperatures down that much. So.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to make.
You need a new battery or something?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'm trying to see if I can hear anybody. Yeah, the light's on, but no one's home.
No.
Thank you, Mike. I'll work on it during the break.
Can you hear me now?
What's that?
Can you hear me now?
No, I couldn't. Yeah. Now I can. 451, 78 degrees.
Up next, the world's most famous rabbit is celebrating his 80th birthday today.
Let's take a look at all your lottery numbers there. I can hear myself now. Pick 3 numbers, 756, Fireball 4. Daily 4 numbers, 1989, Fireball 7.
Cash 5, 6, 9, 12, 22, 24. Texas Lotto 15, 25, 42, 47, 49, 52. And Powerball 5, 21, 36, 61, 62, Powerball 18, Mega Play 2.
Welcome back. 454 right now. Hollywood remembering a 2-time Oscar winner who was the last surviving star of the iconic film Gone with the Wind.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Chris Watson.
Happy birthday, Bugs Bunny, the world's most famous rabbit's 80 years old Monday. Bugs made his debut in the 1940 animated short A Wild Hare, opposite his classic nemesis, Elmer Fudd.
Welcome to my shop. Let me cut your mop.
Bugs Bunny since appeared in hundreds of cartoons and specials. He was the first cartoon to get his own postage stamp and remains a beloved cultural icon to this day.
Yes, Captain Butler, I remember you.
Olivia de Havilland has died at age 104. The 2-time Oscar winner was the last surviving star of Gone with the Wind, in which she played Melanie Hamilton. De Havilland also famously challenged the studio contract system, resulting in changes that granted actors more career independence. 37 years ago Monday, Madonna released her self-titled debut album.
I'm going to give Bram the largest bag of gold anyone's ever seen.
And Game of Thrones star Nikolai Coster-Waldau, a.k.a. Jaime Lannister, is 50 Monday. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Christopher Watson, ABC News.
Just watching him in Game of Thrones again last night.
You're doing the whole...
Starting all over, back on season 3.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. You have something to do during the summer. 456, 78 degrees.
Still ahead in our next half hour, President Trump is looking to gain some ground in some key battleground states. We'll have the latest poll numbers.
Plus, if you're looking to spruce up your face mask fashion, how about one with an LED display? More ahead in Tech Bites.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making headlines this morning, new polls suggesting President Trump is trailing Joe Biden in polls in crucial battleground states with less than 100 days until Election Day.
Plus, the latest on a church bus crash that sent several people to the hospital in serious condition.
And outside with live cam, dealing with leftovers from Hannah. We've got a few showers still showing up on radar. We'll talk to Mike coming up. But we're going to wrap up the month of July this week. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, and it is July 27th.
Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. It's the end of is this the last week of July?
It is. Yep, going to start off August on Saturday.
Like this month has crawled by because of the heat and then showers. And I don't know, Mike, on and off showers with Hannah, is that still a thing? Is that going to happen?
I wouldn't even call them on and off, just one or two of them kind of scattered about the area. It was more on and off, I guess, over the weekend. And yeah, some folks will see another little shower here and there. I don't know if you heard the final numbers, but out at the airport officially, only 0.09 of an inch of rain. Now, there were some folks, I know in my backyard, I got a lot of nice rain. I'm sure you got a lot of very nice rain. Even in some of the other areas around Bexar County, picked up an inch or an inch and a quarter. But yeah, that was it out there officially at the airport from Hannah. Obviously, a lot more down to the south. 78 degrees right now in town. So we are once again on the above normal side. Plenty of humidity. Look at that top number, 2.74. And it's just, oh, you can cut it with a knife out there. Window dripping sort of humidity. The aquifer did go up a little bit in the past 24 hours, and allergens, mold is on the high side right now. And we've got here those couple of little showers that are showing up on radar. Obviously more well down to the south. That's a lot closer to the center of Hannah. But these few showers actually have kind of fizzled on out. There may be one or two more. This is just some clutter on the radar site. Basically, don't be surprised if you see a little shower or two, and I've got the chance of it in the forecast later on today. Mid-upper 70s, again, above normal, and dew points are really, really high all across the board. I mean, even in the hill country when you've got those low 70s for dew points out there, and there's that mold, which is on the higher side right now. 87 at noon, 93 for a high temperature today, which is a little bit below normal. It's going to feel a whole lot hotter than that. And then things are going to be heating up as we close out the month of July. Details in just a couple of minutes. Time saver traffic right now. Officer Marcus Trujillo. Anything going on?
Well, right now, as we take a look at the roadways, so far, no issues out there. That's the great news. So, although there's still may be some spots that are damp, like right here, I-10 and Frio, those long turns and curves, you want to use caution with those areas. Remember, slow down well ahead of those areas, gentle application of the brake and the accelerator. But for the most part, the roads right now, so far, no issues. Sarah?
Thank you, Marcus. Well, new this morning, Judson Bryce Wisdom has passed away after a long battle with cancer. Wisdom's battle with kidney cancer has captivated the San Antonio community. His motto, Bryce Strong, has touched hearts and minds across the nation, even reaching the ears of his beloved Seattle Seahawks. Late last night, his fight came to an end. But in his own words, he said, quote, "I won." Bryce Wisdom was 17 years old. We'll have more on this coming up in our next half hour.
15 people are recovering this morning following a major crash in East Bexar County late yesterday. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says it happened off 1604 in Shoeworth when a bus and Honda Accord crashed into each other. BCSO says a church group of 14 people on board a bus that was traveling south on 1604 when a driver attempted to make a U-turn. The Honda Accord was heading north, and that's when the two crashed into each other. The crash led to multiple injuries, 3 considered serious but non-life-threatening. BCSO says the driver of the bus is at fault and will likely not face any charges. Election Day is just under 100 days away. President Donald Trump facing plunging approval ratings.
As ABC's Andrew Dimbert reports, he is also facing trouble in key battleground states.
With just 100 days until the November election and the pandemic raging, President Trump is fighting a two-front war. This week, the president acknowledging the severity of the virus, which he repeatedly said would just disappear.
It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better.
Greeting his supporters near his New Jersey golf club, handing out Keep America Great hats without a mask. His likely rival, Joe Biden, slamming President Trump's leadership during the crisis.
I don't think he has any sense of empathy. I don't think he can associate at all.
President Trump trailing Biden in the polls in crucial battleground states, Michigan, Florida, and Arizona, states he carried in 2016. A key issue for voters, economic recovery, with millions of Americans out of work, like Sherry Johnson, a single mother from Yuma, Arizona, who depends on the extra $600 in federal unemployment benefits to support her 2 children. Those checks stopping on Friday.
The original unemployment benefits actually paid people to stay home.
That's not true. You know, there are people that would gladly work but that $200, that $187 does not cover rent. It doesn't help us eat.
Democrats want to extend the full benefit. Republicans proposing instead to reimburse Americans up to 70% of lost wages.
Unemployment administrators have said that that's going to be almost impossible to administer, and people are going to face real gaps before they get money.
Well, we've actually looked at that. It's our goal to make sure that it's not antiquated computers that keep people from getting their benefits.
White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows tells ABC News that a Republican proposal is expected tomorrow, but an actual deal getting done with Democrats could take weeks, something struggling Americans certainly don't want to hear. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News.
Well, Hurricane Douglas came within razor-thin distance of the Hawaiian Islands, but spared the state the worst of the strong winds, storm surge, and flooding officials had warned about. Meteorologists cautioned the hurricane's path could shift slightly, and Douglas could still unload its destructive power on the islands of Oahu and Kauai. The storm had maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, making it a Category 1 hurricane. Heavy rain and wind gusts battered Maui during the morning. Gentle rain fell and blustery winds swayed trees on Oahu. Despite the danger, surfers rode waves and residents took selfies at a lookout point next to the ocean. Honolulu's mayor warned Oahu wasn't out of the woods yet, and strong winds, heavy rains, and flooding could still hit.
Iran has moved a mock aircraft carrier to the strategic Strait of Hormuz amid heightened tensions between Tehran and the U.S. Satellite photos released today show the possibility that the Islamic Republic soon plans to use it for live-fire drills. The replica resembles the Nimitz-class carriers the U.S. Navy routinely sails into the Persian Gulf from the Strait. The Strait of Hormuz is where 20% of the world's oil passes. The replica's appearance suggests Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard is preparing an encore of a similar mock sinking it conducted back in 2015. U.S. Navy's Bahrain-based Fifth Fleet, which patrols Mideast waters, has not commented. Right now it's about 5:06, 78 degrees.
Still ahead, tired of your old boring face mask? We'll tell you about a new mask with an LED screen display.
Plus more on a local author who's released a new book full of inspirational stories for young girls and women.
First, let's take a look outside with live cam. 78 degrees, very muggy outside today. When we come back, Mike will let you know about your forecast for this week.
5:10, welcome back. A San Antonio entrepreneur and multicultural marketing pioneer has released a new book full of advice and inspirational stories for young girls and women.
In the latest in our Unheard series, the author of the book, Bonnie Garcia, speaks about what motivated her to write the book and gives us a peek at some of the stories inside.
Growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there still was, and there is today, discrimination and hurdles to overcome. And women like me, and you didn't see a lot of women, or Hispanic women, or women of color in key positions in corporate America, politics, anywhere. And so, I really felt it was important to put myself out there a little bit as a mentor. It's advice, yeah. It's really, as I wrote, I started peppering in a little bit of advice, consejos, these consejos that my dad always gave me, these wonderful consejos. Don't ever burn any bridges because you never know when you have to cross them again, and just a lot of consejos in English and Spanish, and so I peppered a lot of that into the book as well. So just words of advice for young girls as they start on their journey, life's journey. And ironically, there's about 5 or 6 stories that speak to this moment in time, always be ready to rewrite your story is one of the stories. And how many of us have had to rewrite our story and pivot and rethink how we conduct business and how we live day to day? We're rewriting our story. We've all fallen. in our careers and things happen in our lives where we think that we just can't get back up. But honestly, if you fall, then not getting up is just giving up. And at this moment in time, we can't give up. We just can't. And there's just too much to look forward to on the other side.
Well, Dale Gana's How to Make Your Mark in Life is now on sale. It can be found on Amazon, Google Books, and on the Books website.
For more about Garcia and the book, just head to our website at ksat.com.
Well, it's 5:13 and 78 degrees.
Glad you're with us. Still ahead, actor Robert Downey Jr. celebrating another box office success, even as many American theaters remain closed.
And next, a look at the moment when a human-sized robot presented a recent lottery winner with a check.
From prom dresses to soccer practices and new adventures. You hope the more you give, the less they'll miss. But even if your teen was vaccinated against meningitis in the past, they may be missing vaccination for meningitis B. Let's help protect them together. Because missing Men B vaccination could mean missing out on a whole lot more. Ask your doctor if your teen is missing meningitis B vaccination.
We can't just take from nature, so we collaborate. Ocean Spray works with nature every day to farm in a sustainable way.
The Capital One Walmart Rewards Card puts cash back in your wallet. Earn 5% cash back on everything you buy at walmart.com.
Mom, paper towels!
Including things for the science fair.
What's in your wallet?
Welcome back. 5:16. Apple giving employees paid time off on Election Day. ABC's Kenneth Moten has details in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, Apple is helping its workers get to the polls. The tech giant is giving employees 4 hours paid time off to vote in November. The move includes retail workers. Apple joins Lyft, Twitter, and Uber among major tech companies giving workers time to vote. And if you think wearing a face mask is boring, check this one out. It has LEDs that display whatever you want, drawings, text, or even what you're saying. The designer thinks face masks are becoming a standard part of our wardrobes. And finally, a creative way to present a check to a lottery winner without violating social distancing rules. Lottery officials in Quebec enlisted the help of a robot to safely hand deliver the check for nearly $4.5 million. They say no human hands touched the check for 72 hours before the presentation. Who covered it, though? Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
5:17.
We're going to check in with Officer Marcus Trujillo. Marcus?
Well, right now, Sarah, things still look great out there. This is I-10 Frio. So far, inbound, outbound lanes not too bad. And if you notice, folks, from our last check of weather, we actually have fewer vehicles out there right now in this section of the city. Other areas not too bad, like I-10 at the Y and also 281 410 up there by the airport. Connector ramps, no issues up there. Eastbound, westbound lanes of 410 still running smoothly. So we're off to a great start, which happens most often. Problem is keeping it that way for the whole commute.
I wish we could keep that positive ball rolling. Do we put away the umbrellas now, or
I got my raincoat just in case.
Not yet. I mean, there's just a couple of showers out there. If you get a shower today, with all this humidity around here, could have a quick little decent downpour. It won't last all that long. So one time, it's Saturday, I was out and about at a store, and boy, it all of a sudden was coming. I mean, these drops seemed like they were this big, and it lasted 10 minutes.
But it was cold rain.
It was really cold.
Because I had to go out there and then close the door to the shed. It was cold water.
It was cold water. So
what?
Anyway.
Cold water?
Yeah, it was cold.
It was cold.
I did not go anywhere near it.
Some of those raindrops coming from way up high in the atmosphere. But anyway, yeah, a couple of showers are possible today is what we're getting at. And the humidity is definitely there this morning. Mid-upper 70s and a lot of mid 70s for dew point temperatures, 75 Randolph, Stinson, Port SA, Castroville 77, 74 out there at the airport. That's definitely, I don't know about you, my windows were all dripping yesterday, and this is going to fog up your glasses when you walk outside. 81 is what it feels like here in town right now. And temperatures later on today, we're going to make it up into the low 90s, and the humidity, though, is going to make it feel like it's well up into the upper 90s and low 100. It's going to be fairly thick humidity today and the next couple of days, because not only in the atmosphere, but then we've got all the moisture in the ground, which is adding to it. And there is a little bit of light rain. We have those few showers in the hill country, and it looks like everything's pretty much fizzled out. I don't see anything else right now. This is just a little bit of clutter around the radar site right there, and a few more showers down to the south, and that's about it. Otherwise, the main area of rain with what's left over from Hannah's over there in the mountains of Mexico. And computer model has a couple of scattered showers around this afternoon, primarily along the coastal plain with a sea breeze, and one or two of them here and there. About the same thing tomorrow. A couple of showers are possible, maybe a thunderstorm thrown in. Not really great chances of rain. And after that, I think rain chances are out of the picture toward the latter part of the week. We'll still keep some fair amount of clouds around here, but it's going to get hot later on this week and the weekend. So there, going back 12 hours, there's the leftovers of Hannah working its way across the southern portion of our viewing area and then off into the mountains of Mexico. And, kind of just, it's sort of dragging all this moisture in behind it in those couple of showers out there. And that's pretty much about it. Otherwise, things are going to start to, like I said, heat up. And that's basically the big story going into the rest of the week. So today, we're going to be up to 87 degrees at noon, mostly cloudy skies, a lot of humidity out there. A couple of showers are possible. Not very likely, though, and then 93 for a high temperature. Again, mostly cloudy skies, one or two showers are possible. About the same thing tomorrow. Then we get up to 95 on Wednesday. 96 is the normal high temperature, so we'll be up there right around Thursday. And again, the humidity is definitely going to be something we will we'll notice the next few days, and a lot of clouds around here. But despite that, like I said, we do start to heat up. Let me go back one page here. Oh, I can't. I jumped past it. I didn't want to keep the hundreds up there, so I think we're going to be looking at triple digits by the weekend.
Mm-hmm. And that trend's going to continue after, or we just
let's just stick to the weekend right now.
It's okay. We know we're going to see it again later. It's okay. It's
one step at a time.
Right. Thanks. Right now, 521, 78 degrees.
Well, up next in your morning spotlight, a look at how Robert Downey Jr.'s Doolittle is getting a boost from the overseas box office.
Lottery numbers: pick 3, 756, Fireball 4, Daily 4, 1989, Fireball 7.
Cash 5, 6, 9, 12, 22, 24. Texas Lotto 15, 25, 42, 47, 49, 52. And Powerball 5, 21, 36, 61, 62. Powerball 18, Power Play 2.
Most U.S. theaters are still closed, but Robert Downey Jr. has another #1 movie.
CNN's David Daniel explains in our Hollywood Minute.
We've no choice but to embark on this perilous journey.
Doolittle debuted in January and never topped the U.S. box office, but it's currently the #1 movie in China. That country has reopened theaters in areas considered low risk for COVID-19, and the film starring Robert Downey Jr. was the weekend's top film. Doolittle had not yet opened in China when the pandemic closed theaters.
When have other people's opinions ever affected anything I've done?
Radioactive director Marjane Satrapi says her film doesn't shy away from portraying Marie Curie as difficult to work with, stubborn, and fiercely determined.
If she was a man, people that would be very okay, they would be very okay. So he's a very difficult man, but he's a genius. He has a right to be difficult. But when you are a woman, you do never have the right to be difficult.
I want to protest in the strongest possible terms. It is a distinct lack of respect.
I think representation is extremely
important.
Michael B. Jordan has a roadmap for racial justice. The actor and producer and the nonprofit group Color of Change have launched Change Hollywood. The initiative is aimed at helping the industry change its culture and hiring practices and invest in black talent and anti-racist content. Jordan says it's about telling authentic stories, bringing people together, partnering with influential artists, and changing the rules of the game. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
I watched Doolittle when it came out several months ago.
Sure.
I fell asleep in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Audiences overseas love it more than you do.
A lot more, yeah.
Right now it's 526, 78 degrees.
Still ahead in our next half hour, as coronavirus cases keep climbing in parts of the U.S., there's a push to try to help boost the crippled economy.
North Korea reporting what could be its first official case of the coronavirus. That's coming up. Good morning. It is Monday. It is July 27th. We hope you had a wonderful weekend.
I hope you guys enjoyed some of the rain. I know rain was kind of scattered all around San Antonio. I got like maybe one solid good shower for about 20 minutes or so.
Woke up to torrential rain beating down the window early yesterday morning, Mike Osterhage.
Yeah, me too. Same thing. And Saturday afternoon, got some decent showers around. But again, as we were talking about late last week, as the path of that storm changed, that the majority of the heavy rain was going to be down to the south. And of course, that's where it did stay. We still have a couple of little leftovers sort of on the swinging around on the backside of it. So the center of the storm, Hannah, and what's left over of it is well down there to the south and west. And now, just with that counterclockwise rotation and the flow in the atmosphere is coming in here off the Gulf of Mexico. So that's why we've got one or two showers. This is clutter, and there were some showers out in the hill country, and they've pretty much just kind of fizzle on out. But again, one or two of them, don't be surprised. And there's still a few damp spots on the streets as well. I saw a couple of them coming into work this morning. 78 degrees, been holding steady for about the past hour or so. 79 in Castroville, but the humidity, oh my goodness gracious, it was high yesterday, and it's still really, really high this morning. So we've got heat index readings that are a few degrees above the actual air temperatures, and that'll be something you're going to notice today because it's going to be pretty thick air out there. Mold is on the high side, and throughout the rest of today, a couple of showers here and there. We'll stay in the low 90s, so actually a little bit below normal, but it's going to feel like it's well up into the upper 90s. About the same thing tomorrow. Again, a shower or two is possible, not very likely though. A few more clouds hanging around going into the latter part of the week, but it is going to be heating up. We're definitely going to be ending out to July on the warm side and starting off August on the hot side. Details coming up in a couple of minutes. Time saver traffic. Here's Officer Marcus Trujillo.
Well, thank you, Mike. And folks, as we take a look at the roadways, still looking pretty good right now on the highways. Now let's take a look. 35 at Evans. Starting to see some heavier traffic both on the north and the southbound lanes there. 35 at 1604 looks a little bit better there. We move on to, there we go, 37 at Jones near the downtown area. So far, no issues there. More than enough enough space out there on the highways right now. Sarah?
Thank you, Marcus. A local teenager who has captured the hearts of people all across the country apparently has lost his battle with cancer. That's according to a family Facebook page. Judson High School football player Bryce Wisdom died late last night. Our Katrina Weber is near downtown with a live report. Katrina, people all across the country had been following his struggle. What has been the reaction to the news?
Well, just from looking at the Facebook page, I saw more than 1,000 posts from people who were sending their condolences and also expressing their sorrow over the death of Bryce Wisdom. We also have been following his struggle all along. Now, we have video from his birthday party just a couple of months ago, back in April. Due to the coronavirus, everyone who participated in that party did so from a distance, but that didn't stop the outpouring of love for Bryce. There were hundreds of people who paraded past his Converse home, including first responders, friends, and fellow athletes. The Judson Jr. had been suffering from an aggressive form of kidney cancer called Wilms tumor since March of last year. His struggle captured national attention. Now, the Facebook post, which appears to be from his mother, says that he fought till the very end, but he died shortly after 11:30 last night. Bryce was 17 years old. Reporting live near downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Right now it's 5:33. The number of known coronavirus cases in the U.S. doubles about every month, according to Johns Hopkins University.
While some leaders say another round of stay-at-home orders might be necessary in some locations, Senate Republicans are ready to unveil a plan to help the struggling U.S. economy. CNN's John Lawrence reports.
It's the start of a new week with an ongoing concern, the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're on the very steep end of an exponential curve where rates of transmission, rates of new cases, of hospitalizations and deaths are shooting up in many parts of the country.
More than 4.2 million Americans have been infected with the virus, according to Johns Hopkins University, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention published a forecast that predicts up to 160,000 U.S. deaths by mid-August.
You're going to keep seeing this resurge one place after another if we don't have a concerted national approach to this.
As work on a vaccine continues, Republicans in the Senate are working with the White House on a new economic stimulus proposal.
We're talking about employment benefits and so forth. Don't forget, there's a $1,200 check coming. That is going to be part of the new package.
White House officials say the $1 trillion recommendation includes $1,200 checks for many Americans.
And we want to make sure something gets passed quickly so that we deal with the unemployment and all the other issues, paycheck protection plan, tax credits to rehire people, and money for schools.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The White House says President Donald Trump will shift his focus to American energy dominance when he comes to Texas later this week. The president's visit will include his first tour of an oil rig. He'll be visiting Double Eagle Energy in Midland on Wednesday. The White House says the president will talk about how the U.S. is achieving energy dominance by cutting regulations, simplifying the permitting process, and encouraging private investment in energy infrastructure. The president will also raise money for the Republican Party in his re-election campaign at a fundraising luncheon in nearby Odessa.
Meanwhile, President Trump will ride the bench a bit longer as the first president in a century not to throw an opening pitch at a baseball game. He had showed interest in the tradition when coronavirus expert Dr. Anthony Fauci threw the first pitch for the Nationals last Thursday. That same day, President Trump announced he'd perform the ceremony for the Yankees on August 15th. Then New York officials criticized the plan. Now President Trump says he'll throw a first pitch later in the season.
Right now it's 5:36, 78 degrees.
Still ahead, more details as North Korea could be admitting that it at least has one case of COVID-19 in the country.
And a closer look at what school will look like for teachers and students when classes begin this fall.
Well, let's take a look outside with live cam. 78 degrees. It is so muggy out there. I did my hair this morning. I walked out. It fell immediately. So use the hairspray this morning, ladies. And when we come back, Mike will let you know about your week forecast.
5:39. Up until now, North Korea claimed they had 0 coronavirus cases within the country.
But now the country's state media reported that a runaway, which refers to a defector, is suspected to have been infected with COVID-19. CNN's Paula Hancock has the story.
This is the closest that North Korea has come so far to admitting that coronavirus is within the country. Now, we know from state-run media KCNA that Kim Jong-un, the leader, convened an emergency Politburo meeting, and within that, he and his elite agreed to enact a maximum emergency system. Now, according to KCNA, Kim Jong-un said that there had been a quote, runaway, what we know as a defector, who had left North Korea about 3 years ago and then back on July 19th had crossed back into North Korea across the DMZ. Now, the South Korean military say that they are looking into this to try and confirm whether or not that was the case. But according to KCNA, this particular individual did show symptoms. Uncertain results was from a medical checkup. And so the individual was put into strict quarantine, as were many others, according to this article, in Kaesong, which is a border city just along the DMZ. Now, up until now, North Korea has claimed they have 0 cases within the country. This is something that authorities and officials around the world simply did not believe. They did close off the border very early on, and they're one of the very few countries in the world that can completely isolate in this respect. But this is really the first time that we have heard any indication, and it's coming from the top, from Kim Jong-un, that coronavirus is in North Korea. Paula Hancock, CNN Seoul.
Back here at home, it's 5:40, still 78 degrees.
Up next, a look at how a local chef is using his drug and alcohol addicted past to serve those in need. In your morning consumer headlines, by the end of this week, we should have a better picture of the impact of the pandemic on the U.S. economy. More than a third of the companies in the S&P 500 report quarterly earnings this week. Financial data company FactSet says based on the companies that have already reported, earnings for the second quarter are on track to fall over 42% compared to last year.
Southwest Airlines says it will not furlough any employees for now. In a memo to the company's 60,000 employees, the company said it will not be furloughing or laying off workers on October 1st. Restrictions attached to federal bailout money barred airlines from furloughs or layoffs through September. Pandemic has dealt a crushing blow to the major airlines. Earlier this month, both United and American Airlines were sent warnings of possible furloughs. Southwest says 17,000 of its workers have already taken voluntary separation packages and extended time off. However, the airline says it is losing $20 million a day.
Well, airline makers are also being hit hard. Boeing and Airbus are seeing their finances strained as airlines refuse to collect planes that have already been built. With travel down, airlines say they don't need the planes right now.
Well, with August fast approaching, the upcoming school year has been on a lot of people's minds. Teachers and parents are being forced to adjust educating during a global pandemic.
This week's episode of KSAT Explains is all about what school will look like when classes begin this fall. Here's Myra Arthur with the preview.
Back to school is a whole lot different this year.
I honestly feel that we need to stay out of the schools and away and stay home until there are fewer cases.
I mean, it's just not safe right now, plain and simple.
Instead of shopping for new backpacks and new school clothes, parents are checking their Wi-Fi connections and watching for any updates.
There is a lot more worry that I was thinking about, if they were to go back to school, how safe would it be?
The upcoming school year, like so many aspects of life during this pandemic, is uncertain.
One thing we know about the virus is that it's pretty hard to predict what 7 weeks from now is going to look like.
At the center of discussions underway, how do we keep our students and teachers safe while also making sure no child falls behind in the process?
Our kids who live in poverty and who already suffer from inequality, remote learning plans don't work for the majority of them.
I don't think anybody feels that that remote learning is as good as in-person learning, but it's a risk.
A lot still up in the air and a lot that is likely to change. But one thing we know for sure, the next school year will be unlike any other.
This week's feature on What's Up South Texas, a local chef using his drug, alcohol addicted past to serve those in need.
He does all this through his signature gourmet foods. John Meyer, who is the owner of the best little food house in Texas, spends week after week donating food and money to communities in need. That includes the homeless, the elderly, truckers, teachers, and more. As a young man, he says the success he had as a celebrity chef pressured him into drugs and alcohol. He said he lost everything, which nearly made him homeless 8 years ago. He got help from Haven for Hope, and he has not turned back since.
I say, who are we going to help this week? Because that's what God's put in my heart. If we spread that love, if we all thought the same way, this would be a better country.
For more on Meyer's story and others featured on What's Up South Texas, visit our website, KSAT.com.
Let's get the story on the morning commute for your Monday.
Officer Marcus Trujillo.
We have an accident just coming in. It is being reported as a major accident. So we're moving over to the area of westbound I-10 access road at West Avenue, not at Vance Jackson, but actually at West Avenue. So the automatic data feed there has kind of messed that one up. That's really not there. I'm going to show you where it's at. We're going to take this one off, folks. See, getting a little bit of education this morning. And then we're going to put this little accident icon right there. So that's what you want to look at. Looking at the westbound lanes of the access road of I-10, as you're approaching West Avenue, watch out for a number of emergency vehicles responding to that accident. Now, take a look outside through TransGuide, I-10 and Frio. So far, inbound and outbound lanes, no issues. And if you guys can, there we go, there's TransGuide. no issues there. And if you guys didn't get to see the map before, there it is right there. Westbound I-10 access road right there at West Avenue for that major accident. So not on the main lanes, but nonetheless with all those flashing lights, that is bound to be a little bit of a distraction.
Thank you, Marcus. Mike, how's the week looking overall?
Getting hotter and very humid, especially today. Wow. I mean, yesterday and today, your windows fog up glasses, everything like that.
Feel the instant heat.
That's right. It's almost like Mother Nature looked at the calendar and go, oh, yeah. We're about in August.
Yeah, and actually temperatures today and tomorrow are going to be a little bit below normal, believe it or not. But it's going to feel like it's well up there. So anyway, take a look outside right now. We got plenty of clouds, and yeah, it is really darn humid out there this morning with these temperatures in the mid and upper 70s. Actually, a little bit above the normal low temperature, and we've got plenty of just get ready when you open up the door, because these numbers translate into that like whoo, right in your face. And heat index right now is upper 70s, low 80s around much of the area. High today is going to be in the low 90s, and it's going to feel like it's well up into the upper 90s and a lot of low hundreds around here because of all the humidity, not only in the atmosphere but also in the ground. Obviously, the moisture in the ground from the rain we had over the weekend is adding to that heat index factor. And dew points in the afternoons are going to be staying up in the 60s, so it's going to be staying humid pretty much this week. And if they start to drop down a little bit, that's, well, not necessarily a good thing, because remember, drier air heats up a lot more easily. So as temperatures begin to heat up this week and then get a shot of drier air, or not as humid, I should say, it's going to help to put temperatures up close to triple digits by this weekend. So we've had a couple of showers still left over around here. Those few in the hill country sort of fizzled out. That's a little ground clutter around the radar site. And there are a couple of them down to the south, and that's pretty much about it. And computer model is not real big on any rain today. Just a couple of these little scattered showers around the area this afternoon. You know, few and far between. If you get one of the showers, fantastic. A little bit of extra lawn watering, but that's pretty much going to be about it. And we may have one or two of them around tomorrow as well. So Hannah, which did make Category 1 strength and actually did a lot of damage well down to the south, is now continuing to work its way off to the south and to the southwest. And we still got these few little straggling showers in behind it, sort of being pulled in behind it. And that's about it. And this high is helping to push it. And this is what really kind of kept it further on to the south. The high sort of set up a little block right there, a little barricade. And so that pushed it, kept it south of us, which, yeah, good and bad. We didn't get the heavy rain, but a lot of us didn't get as much rain as we had hoped for. There's a little bit of a glitch that's going to be moving in here Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a stray shower, but otherwise this high is going to continue to take over, and it is going to keep a lot of clouds around here, it looks like, by the end of the week, but also it's going to help to heat things up, so temperatures will slowly and steadily incline throughout the rest of the week. 87 at noon today, mostly cloudy skies, a shower or two is possible, and later on this afternoon, about the same thing. Couple of showers here and there, 93 for a high temperature. Same thing tomorrow, then Wednesday, mid 90s, and we will stay in the mid and upper 90s throughout the rest of the week to close out the month of July. August comes in here. I think it's going to be pretty darn hot, 100 degrees. Saturday and Sunday, what we're looking at.
What would our birthdays be without searing heat?
Exactly.
Just is what it is, right?
Yours is coming up, what, next week, this weekend?
Yeah, I'm the second. You're the third. Yeah.
Oh, birthday boy.
Yeah.
A couple years apart.
Just a few. Thanks, Mike. 552, 78 degrees.
Well, a music group called Gwar has unleashed its latest musical creation. We'll hear from the lead singer. That's next.
Okay, let's take a look at your lottery numbers. Pick 3, 756, Fireball 4, Daily 4, 1989, Fireball 7.
Mike's obviously a big fan of theirs.
Yep.
Cash.
Just ordered the t-shirt.
Cash 5, 6, 9, 12, 22, 24, and Texas Lotto 15, 25, 42, 47, 49, 52. Take a look at Powerball 5, 21, 36, 61, 62, Powerball 18, and Power Play 2.
Good morning. Coming up on GMA, the first hurricane slamming into the U.S. amid rising COVID cases, Hannah ripping through South Texas, and a rare hurricane warning for Hawaii as Douglas moves through. We're tracking the very latest on all the storms this morning. It's all coming up, plus much more, only on GMA. We'll see you soon.
Do not adjust your sound. Yes, that is Gwar playing acoustically for the AV Club.
You know where to find me, honey. I'm hiding under your bed.
Usually we were doing their cover song contest series, which we were the all-time heavyweight champions of.
The Unplugged performance marks the 6th time Gwar has conquered the AV Club.
This series is a little different. We actually had to choose Gwar songs and record them acoustically. Of course, it being the pandemic, we couldn't be anywhere near each other while we were doing it, which was just fine with us because we don't like to be near each other anyway. And all of our albums are recorded by the telephone, and that's why they sound so terrible.
I'll roll my terrible roll, gnash my terrible teeth. I'll show you my terrible claws and what's terrible underneath.
Singer Blothar the Berserker says going acoustic has its advantages.
Well, yeah, I mean, you actually get to add a third to the chord when you're playing acoustic music, right? It's not just the root and the fifth. So it has some depth as far as harmonic progressions go. And actually, most heavy metal does, most hard rock does.
And I ain't going to give you anything.
The focus is more on harmony and more on melody than it is on rhythm and aggression. And the same thing is true for the voice.
Well, there you have it, baby. I'm just a sensitive guy.
Enjoying the mellower side of Gwar in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
But I still find time to cry.
Somebody's watching it, right? Somebody? Maybe? Anyone? Still ahead on Good Morning San Antonio. Before you hit the pool, lake, or ocean, you may want to pay attention to what sunscreen you're using. We'll have a warning from some experts that say sunscreen may be dangerous to use. Let's check TransGuide right now. You're looking at 1604 and Culebra out there. Traffic is looking fantastic. We've got some low clouds out there, and moisture is definitely a possibility. We deal with the leftovers of Hannah. Mike and Marcus are standing by with updates on both the traffic and weather department. We have 1 full hour of more to come.
As coronavirus cases continue to swell and as complicated negotiations over a new stimulus bill are set to start, find out why there is renewed hope today in the fight against COVID-19. I'm Karina Mitchell in New York with that story coming up.
Plus, we want to track what was once Hurricane Hannah, a look at the damage it left behind, plus how President Donald Trump is responding to the aftermath here in Texas.
Taking a look outside with live cam, we may be seeing some late straggler showers from Hannah at 78 degrees, still pretty muggy out there. Mike will have his forecast in just a bit.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And good morning to you. It is Monday. It is July 27th.
Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. And one thing that Hannah did bring was, I think, maybe 2 days of me not having to water my lawn.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it was very hit or miss. It was hard to decide what to do this weekend because we'd go from bright sunshine and heat to ominous clouds and some downpours.
I know. I did get one bike ride in, and then like 5 minutes in, heavy, slow drops.
Heavy. We were talking to Mike a little bit earlier in the newscast, and some of that heaviest rain appeared to show up early Sunday morning.
Yeah, we had those few downpours. I got caught in one Saturday late morning. It was just coming down in buckets and then stopped like that. And that was what we were expecting when the path was further south, that we were just going to have some of those bands of a couple of heavier showers kind of slide on through here, and then it would be sort of off and on. At least temperatures, though, stayed down this past weekend. So that was one benefit from it. And highs today are not going to be off the charts, but still going to have a lot of humidity like we have right now. And there's a couple of leftover showers. There's the closer to the center of what's left over of Hannah over there, just to the south and west of Eagle Pass. And yeah, arguably these are kind of being drawn in behind what's left over of Hannah. We had a couple of showers in the hill country, and now they've all but kind of fizzle on out. So 1 or 2 showers are going to be possible today. 78 in town, 78 also New Braunfels, mid-70s hill country. Humidity is just sky high this morning, not only from the atmosphere, but also moisture in the ground that's helping out those dew point temperatures. So we've got a heat index right now, and we are definitely going to have a heat index later on today. Mold is on the high side, by the way. Temperatures today, we are going to be, well, not warming up all that much because of all of the humidity out there. So we'll make it up into the upper 80s today at noon, and then top off just in the low 90s, actually a couple of degrees below normal. But then factor in the humidity, and it's going to feel like it's upper 90s out there. It is going to get hotter as we go into the last couple of days of July. Details coming up in a couple of minutes. Time saver traffic right now, and Officer Marcus Trujillo, and I see a big dot on the map.
We have 2 accidents now, both of the major accidents, and not too far from each other. So this is the latest one that's come out. We're going to the 1000 block of Campman Boulevard, and that's going to be over there by Jefferson High School, in between Donaldson and Fur. Watch out for a rollover accident right there that officers are trying to clear out of the area. Also, the westbound access road of I-10 right there at West Avenue. Watch out for another major accident currently in the clearance stages. Now, as we take a look outside through TransGuide, I-10 and Frio, you can see that inbound, outbound lanes, so far, no issues there. So if you're getting ready to head out the door, just remember both hands on the wheel, put away those distractions. Mark?
We begin this morning with a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in Bexar County, and another 393 positive tests sends our total above 36,000. One more person has died. Our death toll now stands at 323. A little bit of good news. There's now been 7 consecutive days where there's been a decline in hospitalizations. Right now, 1,044 patients are hospitalized locally with COVID. 418 are in ICU, 287 on ventilators. It is estimated that 21,505 patients have recovered.
Meanwhile, the state of Texas continues to deal with rising cases of coronavirus. The total number of cases in the state has reached 381,656. That's an increase of more than 5,800 since Saturday. The current death toll in Texas sits at 5,038 people.
Number of coronavirus cases continues to surge globally, with more than 16 million people now infected. More than 4 million of those cases recorded here in the United States.
This is as Americans face economic uncertainty and desperately looking to Washington for federal relief. ABC's Karina Mitchell shares what hope may be on the horizon as a race for a vaccine takes a giant leap.
This morning, Congress poised to take action as millions of Americans are on the verge of losing that $600 a week federal unemployment benefit. Republicans proposing a pared-back package with laid-off workers getting up to 70% of their former wages.
It won't stop the assistance. It's going to cap the assistance at a level that is consistent with people going back to work.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi admonishing the GOP, calling them out of touch and blaming them for the ongoing crisis.
And that delay is causing suffering for America's families. So we have been ready for 2 months and 10 days.
That as several states report out of control coronavirus numbers. California now the worst hit in the country. Florida with more than 400,000 cases now surpassing New York to become the second most infected state and recording an alarming spike in infections among children. 9-year-old Kimora Lynham, the state's youngest COVID victim.
She was resilient and strong, and she could put a smile on your face just by looking at her.
But while hospitalizations surge in the state, officials looking for a way to extend a lifeline to bars and restaurants by keeping them open. Top health officials delivering a stark warning.
If they open up bars now, they're basically saying goodbye to schools for all of the fall.
15 states reporting problems with testing, some waiting up to 19 days for results. But today, a step in the right direction. Thousands of patients nationwide showing up for the country's first large-scale vaccine trial. Moderna is heading into phase 3 of their vaccine trials, taking 30,000 volunteers and injecting them with what could be the first immunization against coronavirus. Meanwhile, Kentucky today bracing for new restrictions as at least 30 children under the age of 5 have died from the virus, and Indiana beginning a new statewide mask mandate. Karina Mitchell, ABC News, New York.
Back here at home, new this morning, family and friends mourn the loss of a Judson High School student and former football player after losing his battle with kidney cancer. 17-year-old Bryce Wisdom's story captivated the San Antonio community. His motto, Bryce Strong, has touched hearts and minds across the nation, even reaching the ears of his beloved Seattle Seahawks. Unfortunately, his fight came to an end just before midnight last night. Over the last 48 hours, Bryce's family's received numerous updates across various social media accounts after he was rushed to the hospital due to a collapsed lung.
Well, 15 people continue to recover this morning following a major crash in East Bexar County yesterday. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office says this happened off of 1604 and Schuworth when a bus and a Honda Accord crashed into each other. BCSO says a church group of 14 people were on board a bus that was traveling in the southbound lane of Loop 1604 when the driver attempted to make a U-turn. A Honda Accord was heading north, and that's when the two crashed into each other. The crash led to multiple injuries. 3 were considered serious, but not life-threatening. BCSO says the driver of the bus is at fault, but will likely not face any charges.
We continue to track what was once Hurricane Hannah after it swept through South Texas coastline and northern Mexico just this past weekend. It brought heavy rain and flooding to states already hit badly by the pandemic. After first making landfall Saturday, it's now in northern Mexico as a tropical depression. Officials there had to rescue people stranded in rising floodwaters. The National Hurricane Center has issued its final advisory on this system.
Well, in the wake of damage caused by Hurricane Hannah, the Federal Emergency Management Agency and President Donald Trump have granted an emergency declaration request. FEMA is authorized to provide reimbursement for mass care, evacuation, and shelter support at 75% federal funding. Governor Greg Abbott thanked the president and FEMA in a statement. Governor Abbott also encourages Texans affected by the hurricane to seek assistance if needed.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un calling an emergency meeting this morning to deal with the possible spread of coronavirus within the Hermit Kingdom. Police in South Korea say a man who allegedly brought coronavirus into North Korea was fleeing arrest. The man, considered a defector, crossed back into the North illegally about a week ago. This is the first suspected case reported in North Korea. The government has declared an emergency and locked down areas around a border city. South Korean police say the man was being investigated in connection with a sex crime.
Well, Southwest Airline says it will not furlough any employees for now. In a memo to the company's 60,000 employees, the company said it will not be furloughing or laying off workers on October 1st. Restrictions attached to federal bailout money barred airlines from any furloughs or layoffs through September. Southwest says 17,000 of its workers have already taken voluntary separation packages and extended time off. However, the airline says it is losing $20 million a day.
Overnight into this morning, the price of gold has surged to a record high as investors move money into an asset seen as a safe haven during these uncertain times. Price surged more than $30 to over $1,926 an ounce. It added 1.5% after breaking its 2011 record high price. Prices of gold and silver have jumped as a result of job losses due to the pandemic here in the United States. It is 6:10, 78 degrees.
Still ahead on GMSA, revamping your boring face mask, how you can make your one-of-a-kind mask with these LED lights.
A local author sharing advice and inspiration for young girls and women. Erica Hernandez gives us a look at some of the stories in the book Dale Ganas, How to Make Your Mark in Life.
Taking a look outside with live cam, 78 degrees, super muggy, just like Mike was saying. Will we have scattered showers throughout today or the rest of the week? Mike will let us know when we come back.
Young girls and women now have a book full of advice and inspirational stories thanks to a San Antonio entrepreneur and multicultural marketing pioneer.
In the latest in our Unheard series, the author of the book, Bonnie Garcia, speaks about what motivated her to write the book and gives us a peek at some of the stories inside.
Growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there still was, and there is today, discrimination and hurdles to overcome. And women like me, and you didn't see a lot of women, or Hispanic women or women of color, in key positions in corporate America, politics, anywhere. And so, I really felt it was important to put myself out there a little bit as a mentor. It's advice, yeah. It's really, as I wrote, I started peppering in a little bit of advice, consejos, these consejos that my dad always gave me, these wonderful consejos. Don't ever burn any bridges because you never know when you have to cross them again, and just a lot of consejos in English and Spanish, and so I peppered a lot of that into the book as well. So just words of advice for young girls as they start on their journey, life's journey. And ironically, there's about 5 or 6 stories that speak to this moment in time, and always be ready to rewrite your story is one of the stories. And how many of us have had to rewrite our story and pivot and rethink how we conduct business and how we live day to day. We're rewriting our story. We've all fallen. In our careers and things happen in our lives where we think that we just can't get back up. But honestly, if you fall, then not getting up is just giving up. And at this moment in time, we can't give up. We just can't. And there's just too much to look forward to on the other side.
Well, Dale Gana's How to Make Your Mark in Life is now on sale. It can be found on Amazon, Google Books, and on the book's website. For more about Garcia and the book, just head to our website at ksat.com.
617, 78 degrees.
We're going to check in with Officer Marcus Trujillo. Are those 2 major accidents still going on?
Yes, they are, Sarah. We're still clearing those 2 majors. Here's the first one over by the high school by Jefferson. That one was a rollover accident right there, the 1000 block of Campman Boulevard. Then the second one we have right here is on the access road of I-10, those westbound access road lanes right there at West Avenue. Let's take a look outside through TransGuide. I-10 and Frio inbound, outbound lanes still looking pretty good right now. Mike?
Thank you, sir. And we had a lot of sunshine mixed in with some of the showers, and some folks got some decent downpours. And out at the airport, though, officially just 0.09 of an inch of rain. I think I got more than that in my backyard. Some areas picked up about an inch, inch and a half in parts of Bexar County. And then there were some nice rainbows kind of thrown on in there as well, because we had some beautiful blue skies at times. And then clouds kind of come back on in here. We still might have a couple of showers left over today and tomorrow. Don't count on it, though. Lots of clouds starting off. Very warm temperatures, about 3 degrees above normal, and humidity. This is really, boy, it's as high or even higher than where it's been past couple of weeks around here, with these dew points well up into the mid 70s. And you'll notice it when you step outside this morning. 81 is the heat index right now, and you can add almost 20 to that, and that's what our heat index is going to be like later on today. So we'll be up to a 93 for high temperature, actually a couple of degrees below normal. But with the humidity, we're going to be up around upper 90s, low hundreds around most of the area for the heat index readings. And dew points are going to be staying in the afternoon, staying on the higher side in the upper 60s. So we will have heat index to deal with. And then also, as time rolls on, temperatures are going to start to climb up barely. And by the weekend, I think we're looking at triple digits by the start of August around here. We had a couple of showers that showed up in the hill country this morning. Those have all but just kind of fizzle on out. Some clutter around the radar site there in New Braunfels, and a few more showers have also died down. The heart of the system, the storm, leftover storm, is well off to the southwest of us, and the computer model has maybe 1 or 2 scattered showers today. Wouldn't count on it, just like it's been in the past, well, before the weekend when we had those, stray showers here and there. And that's going to be the situation tomorrow as well. So Hannah moved onshore, of course, well to the south of us. So we were on the rainier side of the storm, but it was just those kind of bands that swept through here haphazardly with a couple of heavy downpours and then breaks in the clouds and some sunshine, and then another round of showers that moved on through. And the high pressure up to the north of us really acted like a barricade, if you will, and kept this, because remember, the path early on last week looked like it was coming right in towards San Antonio, and then as the high sort of built in, it sort of pushed all that down to the south, and it's going to continue to push it off there. We may still have a little disturbance moving on in here to give us a couple of showers in the next couple of days, but other than that, The trend for this week is going to be for temperatures to go up. So we're going to finish up the month of July on the hot side. 87 degrees today at noon, mostly cloudy. A couple of showers are possible, and 93 for high temperature. Actually, thermometer reading is going to be down somewhat, which is nice, but it will feel like it's in the upper 90s, low hundreds. And going into the rest of the week, there's that steady increase in temperatures, and I think we're going to be looking at some triple digits by the 1st of August.
I'm not completely shocked. We got a nice little break. I know.
Still, you don't want to see it.
The cloud coverage was such a tease. I was just like, oh, it's going to be so cool. No, still need to hydrate when you go outside. Learn my lesson.
Oh, yeah. Anytime in the summertime.
Yeah.
I will say I did enjoy something like 93 middle of yesterday afternoon.
Wasn't that a whole lot better?
Way better than 103.
Mm-hmm.
621, 78 degrees.
Coming up next, the latest on a new vaccine for COVID-19, what phase 3 trials are looking like across 30 states.
Here's your secret word of the day. Enter it on KSAT.com/Circle K for a monthly chance to win free gas for a year. Every entry wins a free iced coffee. Win with Circle K and GMSA.
Is there a natural litter that actually works?
At Tidy Cats, your wish is our latest littervention. Naturally strong with odor-absorbing activated charcoal. 100% natural, 100% powerful. There's a Tidy Cats for that.
We're so embarrassed we overpaid for this used car. We don't even want to show our faces around here.
If you don't see me, you're not seeing the most accurate price. Shop at Carfax. You won't have to overpay on a used car again. Shop millions of great deals at the all-new Carfax.com.
At Stanley Steamer, we love homes. It's why we started cleaning them over 70 years ago and why we still continue today. Whatever home means to you, we're ready when you are to make sure your space is clean and that you and the ones you care about most are safe.
A lot of folks ask me why their dishwasher doesn't get everything clean. I tell them, it may be your detergent. That's why more dishwasher brands recommend Cascade Platinum, with the soaking, scrubbing, and rinsing built right in. For sparkling clean dishes the first time. Cascade Platinum.
In this morning's GMA First Look, race to a vaccine, a major milestone in the battle against COVID-19. For the first time in the U.S., Phase 3 vaccine trials are now getting underway. 30,000 Americans are expected to volunteer for Moderna vaccine clinical trials, hoping the vaccine will be the answer to defeating the coronavirus, which has now infected more than 16 million people worldwide.
I think it's very important that a person steps up and tries to do something good for the world at this point.
73-year-old Jeffrey Balkin is in good health and says he's not nervous at all about the risks.
To me, it's obvious that a vaccine is the holy grail.
And coming up at 7 a.m., George Stephanopoulos goes one-on-one with Moderna's co-founder and chairman. With your GMA First Look, I'm Victor Oquendo, ABC News, Miami.
Apple helping its employees get to the polls this election season. The tech giant giving employees 4 hours of paid time off to vote in November. The move includes retail workers. Apple joins Lyft, Twitter, and Uber, among other major tech companies, giving workers time to vote.
And if you think wearing a face mask is boring, check this one out. It has LEDs that display whatever you want, drawings, text, or even what you're saying. The designer thinks face masks are becoming a standard part of our wardrobes.
Yeah, they're going to be around a while. Lottery officials up in Quebec have created a way to present a check to a lottery winner without violating social distancing rules. They're making it possible with the help of a robot. It will be to safely hand deliver the check for nearly $4.5 million. They say no human hands touched the check for 72 hours before the presentation. I would say they don't care. They just want their darn check.
It's official. Robots are taking over.
They are. 626, 78 degrees on your Monday morning.
Well, still ahead, protecting yourself from harmful sunscreen chemicals, what experts say you should look out for before basking in the sun.
Plus details on the latest stimulus bill plan. The concerns White House officials voiced before it is unveiled later today.
First, let's take a look outside with TransGuide. Traffic pretty clear out there. Officer Trujillo will let you know about those accidents, and Mike will also tell you about the forecast when we come back.
President Trump expected to make a visit to the Lone Star State this week. Just ahead, why he will be touring an oil rig.
Taking a look outside with live cam, those clouds looking pretty ominous out there, but are they going to stick around? Mike will let us know with his forecast.
And good morning to you. It is Monday. It is July 27th. We hope you had a wonderful weekend. We know the weather was kind of weird off and on all weekend.
It was definitely wonky weather. You didn't know like what to stick to. Is that kind of wonkiness gonna stick around?
I don't know if it's going to be considered wonky, but we will have a couple of showers out there. At least we got some rain over the weekend. I mean, we could have had more. A lot of folks thought we got kind of gypped out from that storm heading down to the south. Only 0.09 of an inch of rain out there at the airport. Some areas, though, in your backyard, you may have gotten a lot more than that. Had a couple of decent downpours, but obviously the majority of it was well down to the south. It looks like the sun is trying to squeeze through. We'll have sort of a mixture of sunshine and clouds today. And we had a couple of showers earlier this morning out in the hill country, and those all fizzled out, and there's a few more showers, a few thunderstorms that are sliding basically to the west, almost with a little northwestwardly flavor to it, and down there maybe heading in toward Cotulla. That's really the leftovers of what technically is still tropical depression, Hannah. 78 here in town, 77 Port SA and Randolph, and the humidity is just get ready for it. I'll put it that way, because it's definitely like a steam bath out there this morning. So somewhat of a heat index to deal with right now. Mold is on the high side. And throughout the day, we are going to have mostly cloudy skies, some sunshine obviously thrown in. A couple of showers are possible, low 90s for a high temperature, which sounds pretty good, but the humidity is going to be out there, mostly cloudy, about the same thing tomorrow. Then as we go into the rest of the week, it looks like things are going to be heating up. We are going to have some clouds around, but that's not going to keep the thermometers from getting up there. And I think we're going to be looking at rather some infamous temperatures by the weekend. Details coming up in a couple of minutes. Time saver traffic right now, and Officer Marcus Trujillo, and I know you were busy over there. Got some new accidents?
Well, we managed to clear up the previous two major accidents. That's the great news. The not so great news, we have another major accident to take their place. So we're moving over to close to that Coca-Cola facility. We're moving over to I-10, 410 area on the east side. We're looking at the area of Commerce right there at Craft Street for a motor vehicle pedestrian accident. So watch out for a number of emergency vehicles responding to that accident. Once again, Commerce at Craft. That's going to be a major accident, motor vehicle pedestrian accident. Taking another look outside through TransGuide, we are seeing increases in the traffic on the inbound and outbound lanes of Frio. Some areas around these turns and curves may still be a little damp, so make sure you put away those distractions this morning. Both hands on the wheel. Mark?
Thank you, Marcus. Honoring John Lewis, the civil rights legend and congressman who died at the age of 80.
His body will lie in state in the U.S. Capitol beginning this afternoon after a weekend of events celebrating his life and legacy.
ABC's Alex Perche has more.
Overnight, a final goodbye for John Lewis in his home state of Alabama.
But I know a change gonna come.
The civil rights icon making his final journey to Washington, D.C. later today. The procession will shut down several streets while his body is transported to the Capitol to lie in state.
He was a servant who wanted to do good at all times and wanted everybody else to do good.
In Montgomery, Alabama, Sunday night, a service celebrating the boy from Troy, a name given to Lewis by Martin Luther King Jr. Among the speakers, Dr. Bernice King.
After my father's assassination, he was one of a few who continued to remain committed to nonviolence as a philosophy, a methodology, and a way of life.
Earlier Sunday, Lewis's flag-draped casket carried by a horse-drawn caisson across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. Red rose petals lining the street where Lewis bled for the right to vote on Sunday, March 7, 1965, when state troopers attacked him and other civil rights demonstrators as they crossed that bridge.
He's labored, he's done his work, he's done his job like so many others. Now it's time for us to do ours.
Lewis returned to the bridge year after year, bringing bipartisan delegations with him, most notably marking the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in 2015, walking across that bridge with President Obama, who credited Lewis with helping to make his presidency possible. Back in Montgomery last night, Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter with this message.
Vote together, but don't forget to pray together, or you will get weary. Rest in peace and rest in power, Uncle John.
Alex Perche, ABC News, New York.
Well, police in Austin have identified an armed protester who was shot and killed by a person who had driven into a crowd during a demonstration against police violence. Officers at the protest Saturday night say they heard several shots and later found 28-year-old Garrett Foster with multiple gunshot wounds. Foster was taken to the hospital where he later died. Leading up to this, police say a vehicle had turned onto the block where protesters stood and honked its horn. The driver told police Foster approached the driver's side of window of the vehicle and pointed an assault rifle, and that's when the driver shot him and drove off. The driver called 911 and reported the incident. He was taken into custody and later released.
White House officials are voicing concerns about the next stimulus bill as members of their own party get ready to unveil it. Both Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows mentioned a desire for a less ambitious plan that would likely entail stopgap measures like unemployment insurance and education funding. But Senate Republicans are poised to propose more when they release their next stimulus bill later today, like direct payments, more small business loans, and tax incentives for rehiring. As for the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democrats want a full package and not a piecemeal approach.
Well, the White House says President Donald Trump will shift his focus to American energy dominance when he comes to Texas later this week. The president's visit will include his first tour of an oil rig. He'll be visiting Double Eagle Energy in Midland on Wednesday. The White House says the president will also talk about how the U.S. is achieving energy dominance by cutting regulations, simplifying the permitting process, and encouraging private investment in energy infrastructure. The president will also raise money for the Republican Party and his re-election campaign at a fundraising luncheon in nearby Odessa.
An Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office damaged over the weekend by vandalism. The video showing protesters smashing the Atlanta building's windows and shooting fireworks at the entrance. Also features demonstrators chanting Black Lives Matter. ICE didn't comment by deadline, but the FBI says it is coordinating with the Department of Homeland Security to investigate.
Meanwhile, the American Consulate General in the Chinese city of Chengdu is officially shutting down. The American flag outside the building was lowered at dawn on Monday as U.S. diplomats prepared to leave. Afterward, they tweeted a farewell message to the consulate saying, quote, "We will miss you forever." China ordered the U.S. to close the site last week after Washington made a similar move, forcing a Chinese consulate in Houston to cease operations. Both sides have accused each other of endangering national security.
And Hurricane Douglas coming within razor-thin distance of the Hawaiian Islands. Fortunately, the storm spared Hawaii the worst of the strong winds, storm surge, and flooding that officials had warned about. Meteorologists caution the hurricane's path could shift slightly, and Douglas could still unload destructive power on the islands of Oahu and Kauai. They're calling on residents of the islands to remain vigilant. But back here at home, Monday morning time check, 6:38, 78 degrees.
Protecting yourself from harmful chemicals this summer. Coming up after the break, what experts say you should know before putting on sunscreen.
High temperatures in South Texas are here to stay, but before you head outside to catch some rays, you may want to pay extra attention to what sunscreen you're using.
Some experts say your body can actually absorb harmful chemicals. Our Stephanie Cerna has the story.
We've all been told to apply sunscreen before basking in the sun, but a new study by researchers at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration show popular sunscreen products can potentially be dangerous. Experts say certain chemical-based sunscreens release harmful toxins into our body at levels beyond what the agency considers healthy. The study says 6 chemicals commonly found in popular sunscreen products were tested. Researchers found they could potentially be harmful, but don't let this stop you. The FDA still says you should still apply sunscreen. Just make sure you are going for a mineral-based option. Most importantly, limit your time in the sun. And if you have to be outside, remember to wear lightweight and breathable clothing so you can stay safe from those harmful rays. Stephanie Cerna, KSAT 12 News.
Our San Antonio Spurs have one more scrimmage left before they restart the 2019-2020 season coming up this Friday. They'll face the Pacers tomorrow at 3 before picking up the regular season Friday against the Sacramento Kings at 7. So far, the Silver and Black have yet to win a scrimmage, falling to the Bucks 113-92 Thursday and to Brooklyn 124-119 on Saturday in Orlando. The game was tied at the half thanks to Derek White, who led the Spurs with 22s. Third quarter, Spurs were outscored 39-31. For the second straight game, the Spurs decided to start Lonnie Walker with White and DeJounte Murray in the backcourt, searching for that defensive surge. So here's a look at the Spurs schedule this week. Again, the last scrimmage is tomorrow, 3 o'clock versus Indiana. Regular season starts Friday against Sacramento at 7, and then on Sunday they play Memphis at 3. All those games on Fox Sports Southwest.
In the baseball world, the Astros have won their first 2 against the Mariners, but not the best start in Game 3. They had been down 4-1 until the 4th inning. The top of the 8th would also be disastrous for the Mariners. You get 3 back. Shed Long, a hard-hit grounder into the outfield, brought in the tying run. After the inning, they'd go up 7-5. In the bottom of the 9th, Michael Brantley took the ball over the wall. RBI ground double. They closed the gap at 7-6.
We want to get to some late breaking news this morning. San Antonio police say 2 people were shot on the city's southeast side.
It happened a little after 6 this morning in Southside Lions Park. Our Katrina Weber is live there with the latest. Katrina, what do we know so far?
Well, good morning. Just as you said, 2 people shot here inside Southside Lions Park. We've got a very active scene right here. This happened just a few minutes ago, really. Police looking for a suspect, not really sure who they're looking for because they have just a general description. But those 2 people who were shot told police that they were here walking in the park as they do every morning. When someone drove up, a person got out of that car, approached them and said to give them their cell phone and their money or they would die. And then that is when the person shot them, wounding one person in the leg, the other person shot somewhere in the body. We're not exactly sure yet, but no life-threatening wounds as far as police can tell. And again, they're still looking for the people responsible for this. They just know that the person who shot them got out of a car and there was a second person in the car who then drove off after the shooting. The people who were shot here were both taken to the hospital for treatment, but again, police say it doesn't look like there were any life-threatening wounds. Reporting live on the southeast side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Katrina, thank you. We know you'll keep us posted. We appreciate the update.
Absolutely. First, we're going to check in with Officer Marcus Trujillo for Time Saver Traffic.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And right now, as we take a look at the roadways, still have that major accident over on the east side. So we're looking at a motor vehicle pedestrian accident right there at Commerce and Craft. So watch out for a number of emergency vehicles out there clearing that accident. I-10 and Frio starting to look a little bit better on the east and the westbound lanes. Moving over to 1604 delivery, you can see those folks exiting for Highway 151. No delays at this point. And then 281 and Grayson, things look great there. No problems there at 37 and Jones, and moving up to the airport, 281, 410. East and westbound lanes of 410 down below, you can see starting to pick up in volume, but not too bad. And there's more than enough room on those connector ramps right now.
Farmers and ranchers happy to see some of that rain this weekend.
Yes, indeed. And the aquifer did go up a little bit. Now we're still well below the 660 and 10-day average. And that's the number that really matters a lot. But this is what a lot of folks saw. I mean, you look at this picture and it kind of sums up. On the right-hand side, thick clouds, nice rain shaft. On the left-hand side, there's clear skies and beautiful sunsets. And that's what it was like, except well down to the south. But yeah, a lot of us were seeing this. It was kind of off and on as far as the rain and the clear skies. Great looking KSAT Connect picture. Thank you very much. A little bit of a break in the clouds up there at the top of your screen, looking off to the basically to the east. 78 degrees in town, and the humidity just, yeah, it's definitely slapping you in the face like a wet towel because it's very high out there. So we do have some heat index readings about 3-4 degrees above the actual air temperatures, and we will be seeing temperatures getting up into the low 90s later on today. But then the heat index is going to make it feel about 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees warmer than that, up in the upper 90s and low hundreds. And we are going to keep enough humidity around in the afternoons. That heat index is definitely going to be a factor with these dew points staying up in the 60s. And that's enough, like I said, enough humidity out there to where you're going to notice it, especially with temperatures that are going to slowly creep upward in the next couple of days. Now, we had a few showers, not even showing up on this this loop for the past couple of hours, but we had a couple of showers in the hill country this morning. There are some thunderstorms down here, this one cluster right around just to the west of Corpus Christi, and then this one, which appears to be building somewhat, and that's heading in toward, if that does indeed hold together, right around, say, Cotulla. So you want to watch out for that as that crosses over 35, probably within about the next 15 minutes, half an hour. And computer models keep a couple of showers around today. Not a whole lot. Most everything is going to be to the southeast and then also down to the south, closer to what's left over of Hannah, and that'll be the situation into tomorrow as well. And of course, Hannah continues. It is technically still a tropical depression, but it's getting just kind of ripped apart and torn apart by the mountains there in Mexico. But still, the flow is coming in here off the Gulf, and so that's why we're still seeing a couple of those showers around here. Now, the forecast today, we're going to keep, I think, a fair amount of clouds around today, 87 degrees. That doesn't mean we won't see any sunshine. There will be some mixed in. A shower or two is still possible, not very likely, though. And again, same scenario later on today. We'll make it up to 93, so we will be about 3 degrees below normal. But again, the heat index is going to be well up in the upper 90s and even some low hundreds. About the same situation tomorrow, 95 on Wednesday, 96 on Thursday. That, though, is the normal high temperature, the 30-year average high temperature this time of year. So we're not, way out of whack, but it's going to feel a whole lot hotter than that. And it will continue to heat up. And do I have to talk about what the numbers are on Saturday?
No,
Okay.
you don't.
You don't. It's just chalk it up to it looks like somebody bumped the dials on the stove accidentally.
Not to, add insult to injury, but the hottest time of the year historically is yet to come. That starts then next weekend.
Well, today is National Love is Kind Day, so we don't have to talk about it now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's also National Scotch Day.
Oh, it is.
Sorry to bury the lead there.
All right, we'll drink to that.
I was going to say, or save the best for last. Drink to that.
6:49, 78 degrees.
If your child has been a couch potato lately, it may be time to get them outdoors. Tomorrow on GMSA at 6, find out why the American Heart Association says this can be problematic to their overall health in the future.
Couch potato, couch potato.
Potato, potato.
Lots of clouds. News you need to know before you go is coming up right here on GMSA.
Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber, live on the southeast side of town. This is Southside Lions Park, where police have an active investigation going on. 2 people shot this morning as they apparently were exercising here in the park. They told officers that they saw a man get out of a car. He came over to them and threatened to kill them if they didn't hand over their valuables, including their cell phones. There were some words exchanged, and police say that is when the robber fired shots at both of those people, wounding the man in his leg, and the woman also was hit. We don't know exactly where on her body she was hit, but they say it does not look like these were life-threatening wounds. But again, a very active investigation going on here. They're trying to track down those shooters with what little information they were able to get from the victims. Reporting live on the southeast side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Good morning. Coming up on GMA, the first hurricane slamming into the U.S. amid rising COVID cases, Hannah ripping through South Texas, and a rare hurricane warning for Hawaii as Douglas moves through. We're tracking the very latest on all the storms this morning. It's all coming up, plus much more, only on GMA. We'll see you soon.
About 5 minutes till.
We're going to first check in with Officer Marcus Trujillo before you head out the door.
And we still have that one accident in the clearance stages. Let's move over to that motor vehicle pedestrian accident over on the east side. We're looking at East Commerce right there at Craft. Now, as we take a look at TransGuide, some other areas like I-10, 1604, no issues there. And traffic moving along fairly well on the northeast side, 410 at Austin Highway. We still have that stalled vehicle westbound lanes of 410 at Fredericksburg, but it is off to the side, so well out of the travel lanes. And then 10 at 410, the interchange looking pretty good. Mike?
Thank you, sir. And look outside with live cam. Well, there was a little bit better hole in the clouds, but sort of filled on in there. And look down at the surface, you can almost sort of see just all that humidity hanging around here. There are we had a couple of showers around out in the hill country earlier this morning. They fizzled on out, and there are some showers, even a few thunderstorms down to the south, right around Cotulla, that may hold together and move in your direction or move through your area in the next about half an hour. 78 degrees right now in town, but the humidity, boy, oh boy. It's like a steam bath out there, and we're going to have enough humidity today that 93 degrees, which on the surface sounds fine, but the humidity is going to make it feel like the upper 90s, low hundreds, and we'll have a shower or two possible the next couple of days. 95 then on Wednesday, and we're going to continue to heat up somewhat, so we'll go out in style the last day of July, Friday, and it looks like August may come in here with a couple of triple digits to start off the month. So those will be the holidays, since there's no holidays in the month of August.
And no activity in the Gulf or Caribbean as of right now.
There's something out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that the Hurricane Center is watching, but nothing right now.
For now. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you at GMSA at 9.